Welcome to HOA Legends, where every neighborhood rules has story waiting to be told. The first thing I saw was her car changed to my gate, not parked near it, no stuck beside it, changed. A bright red sedan locked to the metal bars like someone was trying to prove ownership by force. I shoot my patrol truck to a gravel dust rising behind me on the dirt road that led to my farmland. This property had been in my family for 3 generations, no neighbors for half a mile, no public access, no reason for anyone to be here unless they were very, very lost.
She wasn't lost. She was standing outside the car with her phone pressed to her ear, pacing angrily in designer sunglasses and spotless white shoes that had no business being on farm soil. The moment she saw my truck, she pointed at me like she had been waiting. Yes. He's here. He's trying to intimidate me again, she shouted into the phone. I blinked slowly. I had never seen this woman in my life. I stepped out of the truck calmly, boots crunching gravel. Ma'am, this is private property. You can't park here. She laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, don't you start that again, she snapped. I already told you, this road is HOA access. You can't block residents from using it. HOA. Out here? There wasn't an HOA within 10 miles. I looked past her at the chain she had wrapped through my gate handles and around her car's front axle. You chained your car to my gate, I said. Yes, she replied proudly. So you can't close it on me like you did yesterday. Yesterday, I had been on duty all day. Not here. She started walking toward me, phone still at her ear. The sheriff is on the way. You're going to regret trying to bully homeowners. I stared at her for a long second. Then at the phone. Then back at her. Who did you call? I asked. She smirked. The county sheriff's office. I couldn't help it. I smiled. Not a big smile. Just enough. Because I suddenly understood what was happening. Dispatch had radioed me 10 minutes earlier about a trespassing dispute near Old Ridge Farm Road. I hadn't realized the call was about my land. She lowered the phone and crossed her arms. You think this is funny? No, I said calmly. I think this is about to be very educational. Sirens began to echo faintly in the distance. Her smirk grew wider. She had no idea who was about to arrive. The siren grew louder, bouncing off the open fields and rolling hills like a warning carried by the wind. She stood straighter when she heard it. Arms folded. Chin lifted. Victory already written across her face. I leaned casually against my patrol truck and watched her enjoy the moment. You should probably move your vehicle before he gets here, I said. She scoffed. I'm not moving anything. He needs to see exactly how you've been harassing me. Harassing? On my own land. I glanced at the chain again. It was wrapped tight through the gate handles and around her front axle like she'd planned this for a while. This wasn't panic parking. This was a statement. The patrol SUV came into view over the hill. She pointed dramatically. There. Now you're in trouble. I didn't move. Didn't wave. Didn't signal. I just waited. The SUV rolled closer, dust trailing behind it, then slowed as the driver took in the scene, my truck, the chained car, the woman standing like she owned the place. The vehicle stopped. Engine idled. For a second, nothing happened. Then the driver's door opened. Deputy Morales stepped out, adjusting his sunglasses, scanning the gate, the car, then me. Recognition hit his face instantly. Morning, Sheriff, he called. Her smile vanished. What? She said sharply. Morales walked toward us calmly. Dispatch said there was a trespassing issue. I nodded toward the car. There is. She spun toward him. No, there isn't. This man has been blocking HOA access to our trail road for days. I had no choice but to secure my vehicle so he couldn't trap me again. Morales looked at me, confused. HOA trail road. I shook my head slightly. He turned back to her. Ma'am, this is Old Ridge Farm. Private property for decades. She waved dismissively. That's what he keeps saying. But our HOA map clearly shows this as shared access. Which HOA? Morales asked. Pine Hollow Estates. Morales blinked. That subdivision is 8 miles south. She hesitated. Just for a second. Then recovered. Their boundary extends up here. It's in the documents. I watched her confidence start to crack. Morales glanced at the chain around the gate. Did you attach that yourself? Yes, she said. For my safety. He exhaled slowly. Ma'am, you chained your car to the county sheriff's gate. Her eyes snapped to me. To the truck. To the badge on the door she hadn't bothered to read before. And for the first time since I arrived. She looked uncertain. Uncertainty didn't last long. It never does with people like her. She straightened her shoulders and lifted her chin higher, like confidence alone could bend reality back into place. Well, she said sharply, that doesn't change the fact that this road is used by residents. I have a right to be here. Morales glanced at me again, then back at her. Ma'am, do you have any documentation with you? Of course I do, she snapped, digging into her oversized handbag. Papers flew out, receipts, folded maps, HOA notices, until she pulled out a laminated sheet and shoved it toward him. This, she said triumphantly. HOA access map. Morales studied it quietly. I already knew what it was. A poorly photocopied map of Pine Hollow Estates with a yellow highlighter line that mysteriously extended north, past fences, past signage, past common sense, and straight onto my land. Someone had drawn that line themselves. With a marker, Morales muttered. She stiffened. It was provided to us. By who? He asked. Our HOA board. And did the board include county property records with this? He asked calmly. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then tried another angle. This man threatened me yesterday. He told me I'd be sorry if I didn't move. I raised an eyebrow. I was in court yesterday. Morales nodded. All day. Her eyes flicked between us. You're all covering for each other, she said. That's corruption. That word landed heavier than she expected. Morales straightened. Ma'am, making false accusations against law enforcement is a serious matter. She crossed her arms tightly. So now I'm the criminal. No, I said calmly. But you are trespassing. She laughed again, louder this time, shaky at the edges. You can't trespass on land everyone uses. I gestured toward the fence line running the length of the field. Then explain why it's fenced. Posted. Gated. And taxed to me. Morales handed her map back. This doesn't grant access. And chaining your vehicle to a private gate is vandalism. Her face flushed red. This is ridiculous, she snapped. Fine. Write your little warning. I'll take this to the HOA's lawyer. Morales shook his head slowly. This isn't a warning. Her breath caught. I stepped forward and pointed gently at the chain. You need to remove that. Now. She stared at me, disbelief flickering into anger. Or what? I met her eyes evenly. Or I arrest you. The field went silent. She didn't move for a long time. Not toward the chain. Not toward her car. Not even backward. She just stood there, staring at me like I had said something impossible. Arrest me, she repeated. For parking. Morales spoke calmly. For vandalism, trespassing, and obstruction. Her mouth opened, then closed again. You could see her searching for a version of reality where she was still right. She didn't find one. Instead, she did what people like her always do when cornered. She made another call. I'm calling the HOA president, she snapped, pulling her phone out again. He'll straighten this out in 5 minutes. I stepped back and let her. Because I wanted to hear this. She paced while the phone rang, shooting us looks like we were about to be embarrassed. Hi, Gerald, she said quickly when he answered. Yes, it's me. I'm at the Upper Trail Access Road, and there's a man here claiming it's private property. He's trying to have me arrested. Pause. Her expression changed slightly. Yes, the one past the fences. Longer pause. She blinked. What do you mean there is no trail past the fences? Morales and I exchanged a glance. She turned away from us. No, Gerald, I'm standing on it. I have the map you sent. Pause. Her voice dropped. You never sent this. I could see the moment confusion began replacing anger. What do you mean someone modified it? Her face went pale. She slowly turned back toward us while still listening. Yes, there's a gate. Yes, a fence. Yes, a farm. Silence on her end now. Then a quiet, oh. She lowered the phone slowly. Morales asked gently, what did Gerald say? She swallowed. He said, there is no HOA access road here. The trail ends miles south. Someone in the neighborhood Facebook group shared that map months ago. People have been using it. I felt a slow exhale leave my chest. There it was. Not malice. Not a plan. Just blind confidence built on bad information. She looked at the chain, then at her car, then at me. I didn't know, she said quietly. I nodded once. I believe you. And that was the first moment she stopped acting like my enemy. And started looking like someone who realized she'd made a very big mistake. She unlocked the chain with trembling hands. The confidence from earlier was completely gone now, replaced by something closer to embarrassment. Each metallic click of the lock sounded louder in the quiet field. Morales stood nearby, watching but saying nothing. Giving her space. When the chain finally dropped to the dirt, she didn't look up. I really thought this was a shared trail, she muttered. Everyone in the group said it was. What group? I asked. She's hookup. Pine Hollow Community Watch on Facebook. That explained more than she realized. I had heard of it before. A neighborhood group where residents posted security concerns, suspicious cars, lost pets, and occasionally, wildly incorrect maps. She walked back to her car slowly. Someone posted that map last spring. Said the HOA didn't want people knowing about the access road because of liability issues. It got shared dozens of times. Morales rubbed his forehead. So people believed a random post over property signs and fences. She didn't answer. Because the answer was obvious. Yes, I said quietly. She opened her car door but didn't get in. A few neighbors said they'd been using this route for months to avoid the main highway. That made me look toward the road. Tire marks. Faint, but there. More than I had noticed before. You're not the first person to come up here, are you? I asked. She shook her head slowly. No. Morales exhaled. That explains the reports of vehicles near your north field last month. I felt a slow wave of realization. This hadn't started with her. She was just the most confident one. I thought you were blocking access on purpose, she said softly. That you were some angry landowner trying to keep people out. I was trying to keep people out, I replied. She winced. I see that now. A long silence settled between us. Then she did something unexpected. I'm sorry. Simple. Direct. No excuses. I nodded once. Thank you. Morales glanced between us. I think we've learned something today. She gave a weak smile. Don't trust Facebook maps. Or HOA rumors, he added. She finally got into her car and started the engine. But before driving off, she rolled the window down. You should probably know, she said, a lot of people think this road is public. I sighed. I figured. And I realized this problem was much bigger than one woman and one chain. After she drove away, the field felt quieter than before. Not peaceful. Revealing. I walked past the gate and followed the dirt path that curved along the north fence line. Morales trailed a few steps behind, hands on his belt, scanning the ground the way deputies are trained to do without thinking. Look at this, he said. Tire tracks. Not fresh, but layered. Overlapping. Different tread patterns pressed into the dry soil like a record of how many times strangers had passed through my land without me knowing. I crouched and touched the dirt. These weren't from today, I said. Morales shook his head. Weeks. Maybe months. We walked farther along the fence. Every few yards, the grass was bent where vehicles had cut the corner instead of staying on the path. A shortcut had formed through my pasture like it had always belonged there. I felt something twist in my chest. Not anger. Disappointment. People hadn't done this maliciously. They had done it casually. Comfortably. Like the land didn't belong to anyone. How many cars do you think? I asked. Morales shrugged. Enough to make this look like a side road. That's when I noticed something else. A crushed soda can near the fence post. Then a fast food wrapper. Litter. Proof that this hadn't just been a mistaken detour. People had stopped here. Parked here. Treated this place like a public rest spot. I looked toward the tree line where my property dipped into a shallow creek bed. The grass there was flattened. They've been pulling off the road, I said quietly. Morales nodded. Probably thinking it's scenic. I exhaled slowly through my nose. All this time, I thought the occasional tire mark was from hunters or lost drivers. It wasn't. It was a steady trickle of neighbors following a fake map. And every one of them believed they had a right to be here. They didn't even question the fence, Morales said. People trust what they read more than what they see, I replied. We walked back toward the gate in silence. From a distance, the property still looked like it always had. Quiet. Private. Undisturbed. But now I could see the invisible traffic that had been flowing through it. And I understood something important. This wasn't a trespassing problem. This was a misinformation problem. And it had spread further than I realized. The next morning, I didn't start my shift at the station. I started at the hardware store. By noon, the back of my truck was filled with posts, bright reflective signs, and two heavy-duty metal barriers that looked more suited for road construction than farmland. If people were treating this like a public road, I was about to make it impossible to misunderstand. Morales showed up just as I began digging the first post hole beside the gate. You're serious, he said, eyeing the stack of signs. Very, I replied. The first sign went directly on the gate. Private property, no access, no exceptions. The second one faced the dirt road 50 yards back, where drivers would first see the fence line. The third went near the curve where tire marks had cut into the grass. And the metal barriers? Those went across the path itself, forcing anyone who ignored the signs to physically stop. By late afternoon, the entrance to my land no longer looked like a forgotten farm road. It looked unmistakably closed. As I tightened the last bolt, a pickup truck slowed on the distant road. The driver rolled down his window and stared. Then he drove off. Word was spreading already. Morales leaned against his cruiser. "You think this will do it?" "It should," I said. "But I'm guessing I'll still have conversations." He chuckled. "You mean arguments?" "Probably." An hour later, the first one happened. A sedan pulled up, stopped short at the barrier, and a man stepped out looking confused. He read the signs twice, then spotted me and walked over. "Hey," he called. "Isn't this the HOA trail?" I shook my head. "Never was." He frowned. "But it's all over Facebook." "That's the problem," I replied. He scratched his head, looked back at his car, then back at the signs. "Huh. Guess that explains the fence." He left without another word. I watched the dust settle behind him and felt something shift inside me. For months, people had been entering my land without hesitation. Now, for the first time, they were stopping. Thinking. Questioning what they'd been told. And that felt like progress. That evening, curiosity got the better of me. I sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, and searched for the Facebook group she had mentioned, Pine Hollow Community Watch. It didn't take long to find the post. 6 months old. Shared over 100 times. Dozens of comments. And right there at the top was the map. The same poorly edited image she had shown us, with a bright yellow line drawn past the real trail and straight through my property. The caption read, "HOA doesn't want you to know about this shortcut. Use it before they close it." I leaned back in my chair and exhaled slowly. This wasn't confusion. This was confidence fueled by misinformation. People hadn't asked questions because the post sounded helpful. Rebellious. Like they were discovering something hidden from them. I scrolled through the comments. "Use this today. Saves 10 minutes. Way better than the highway traffic. Can confirm it works." No one mentioned the fences. No one mentioned the gate. No one mentioned the signs. Either they ignored them, or convinced themselves they were allowed through. Then I saw the original poster's name. A local resident. Not malicious. Just wrong. I clicked his profile and saw recent posts where he apologized for sharing incorrect information about the trail access. The apology had far fewer comments. Of course it did. Corrections never travel as far as excitement. I closed the laptop and sat quietly for a moment. All this trouble. All this confusion. All because someone drew a line on a map and people wanted it to be true. The next morning, I drove to Pine Hollow Estates and knocked on his door. He answered looking nervous, like he already knew why I was there. "I'm so sorry," he said before I could speak. "I thought it was real. Someone sent it to me. I never checked." "I believe you," I said. He sighed in relief. "I tried to fix it." "I know," I replied. But the damage was already done. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then he said something honest. "People liked the idea of a shortcut more than the truth." I nodded slowly. That was exactly it. And it explained everything. A week later, the traffic stopped completely. No cars slowed near the fence. No confused drivers stepped out to ask questions. No fresh tire tracks cut into the grass. The land felt like mine again. Quiet. Undisturbed. The way it had always been. I stood by the gate one evening, hands resting on the top bar, watching the sun sink behind the hills. The new signs reflected orange in the fading light, impossible to miss. Private property, no access, no exceptions. Simple words that had solved a complicated problem. Morales pulled up beside the road and stepped out, leaning against his cruiser like he had a few times this week. "Looks peaceful," he said. "It is," I replied. He glanced at the signs. Funny how something so small caused all this. A yellow line on a map, I said. He chuckled. And people believed it over fences, gates, and common sense. I nodded. Because it was easier to believe. We stood there quietly for a while, listening to the wind move through the grass. Then he asked, "You think that woman will come back?" I shook my head. No. She learned her lesson. And, in a strange way, so had I. I had always assumed privacy came from distance. From living far away. From fences and empty roads. But privacy doesn't survive rumors. It doesn't survive misinformation shared enough times that it feels true. It survives clarity. Clear signs. Clear boundaries. Clear communication. As the last light faded, I looked at the gate where her red car had once been chained like a protest. Now it just looked like a gate again. A normal part of a quiet farm road. Something else had changed too. Earlier that day, the HOA president had emailed me. He asked for permission to share a corrected map with the entire community, explaining clearly where the trail ended. I told him yes. Because this had never really been about one woman. It had been about dozens of people who trusted the wrong thing. The gate stayed closed. But the confusion didn't. It cleared. And sometimes, that's the real victory.
The first thing I saw was her car changed to my gate, not parked near it, no stuck beside it, changed. A bright red sedan locked to the metal bars like someone was trying to prove ownership by force. I shoot my patrol truck to a gravel dust rising behind me on the dirt road that led to my farmland. This property had been in my family for 3 generations. No neighbors for half a mile, no public access, no reason for anyone to be here unless they were very, very lost. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy it, please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in comments. Your support means the world to me.